ConductorPro Library. The ConductorPro library makes repeatable programming easy and organized. This tutorial explores both single-track storage, retrieval and import-export abilities of the software, as well as extended functions for multi-track retrieval and storage on more complex programming. We recommend this tutorial only after most of the ConductorPro basics are understood and videos surrounding timeline navigation and animation programming have been viewed.
Let's have a look at the library function in our timeline. The library can be found within the default layout in the upper right-hand corner next to the tab for properties. By default, the library would have nothing included and would give you the ability to import from other projects. Let's assume that we have no existing library, but we want to create one from this timeline. A library can be used for both internal and external replication of data within a track. This data can be used with this project to offset addresses, to duplicate addresses in programming, and to simplify the creation of your show. It can also be used as a way to transport data, sections of data, or complete project data from this timeline to an additional repeatable project. Let's simplify this group down to just the back left level DMX track. If I want to take this entire track and export this to my library, I would simply select the track header by left-clicking, right-click, and send to library. I can relabel this as back level left DMX address 180 complete. When I hit apply, you'll notice this is exported to the library with some information regarding the track. It does tell me this is a DMX channel and the back level is left, and I from here can insert this back in the timeline or export this to an external file. This is the basic use for the ConductorPro library, exporting complete tracks, importing complete tracks, and referencing these to other projects. There are, however, a lot of additional features that can be used with the library. Let's say, for example, I wanted to bring this back in. I can do this in one of a couple ways. By left-clicking on the Pro Commander LX, which is a device where the DMX is housed, I can insert by right-clicking on the Pro Commander header and say Insert from Library. Any of my library items will show in this list, and I can simply hit Apply. Notice this makes a direct replication of the track in question and puts it in the timeline. Now that we have this track duplicated, it would be very easy to select the track header, go into our DMX properties, and to modify this to be on track 182. Now we have the same data on both tracks 181, DMX track 181, and channeled 182. So already something useful we can do with the library. However, if we had a big group of fixtures and we wanted to duplicate this very rapidly, we could right-click on the backlights group and we could copy this to the library as the entire group. Then I can right-click down in the open area of my timeline and you'll see that I can insert from the library the back group complete as a set of data. So even if I fold up the Pro Commander, I've just got that piece of data that's not included in the Pro Commander itself. So let's say I wanted to add a device such as a ProIO DMX module and insert this backlight group into my project workflow. Now what I've done is I've taken that same set of data and I've replicated it to another DMX module. So this is helpful if I wanted to add a second universe of DMX with replicated addresses or offset that data for a different device. So let's assume that this is going to stay on a ProIO DMX for the purpose of this example. Well, these addresses may or may not line up directly, so we always have the option to right-click on that group and to shift the DMX channels. So let's say here I wanted to shift it by an offset of 30 channels. It's going to start my DMX channels at 210. I'll include any sub-items within there and hit Apply. Let's look at a couple other functions within the library itself. If I had let's add a little DMX data here just to make things more interesting. If I had a repeatable set of data that I wanted to send out to the library to be used over and over again, but I didn't want to limit myself to the time base or the track structure that I've created, I can highlight a set of points and I can copy the points to the library. So we're going to call this Thunder Flash. Sounds exciting. And I'll hit Apply, and now I have just this set of data in the timeline itself. Now what I can do is I can move this into any track, and I can say I want to insert this at a locator position in the selected numeric track, or numeric channel. So if I have this back left level selected, and I hit Paste, it's there. If I want to replicate that here now, I can do the same, and I can do the same again, and I can do the same again. So this becomes very useful for things like eye blinks and arm movements and repetitive motions that you want to have a very specific level of accuracy in how they play back, but perhaps you don't want to spend all day tracing and recreating those through live motion. So just like we did with the point sliders, this gives us another way of duplicating data and setting up this precise level of repeatable animation. So we've seen how useful the library can be when dealing with internal tracks in a timeline. However, one of the most powerful features of the library is that once we've created these macro groups of either point data or track data or group data, that we can import and export these as sections to other projects and timelines. If I hit export, I'll be prompted with a Windows dialog box that will allow me to save these library assets as library files or .parts. Any number of these files can be saved into different configurations and imported and exported into various timelines. For example, I can have groups of eye movements and arm movements and mouth movements for keep alive segments or items that we would not want to normally program by hand or in the offline mode. I can bring in the library files.parts as well through the import dialog box of the same nature. So as we've seen, you're able to export entire track data, entire group data, and point data to the Conductor library. This concludes the training on CondcutorPro library. For more information, please visit faq.waggle.support.